All right, as we've been reporting all morning, the U.S. has now imposed a 25% tariff on nearly all goods imported from Mexico and Canada. An additional 10% tariff was also slapped on imports from China, on top of existing measures bringing those up to 20%. President Trump announced the move in a speech at the White House yesterday as he prepares to address Congress tonight. Joining us now for more on this from London is CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio. Ramy, from your point of view, what has the global reaction been to these series of tariffs?
Sure. Good to see you, Errol. Yeah, European markets here that I'm following, it's a sell-off. U.S. markets following their down day yesterday. Right now, here in the U.K., the FTSE 100 is down by about 0.4%, but it gets worse from there looking across to the continent. For example, the CAC 40 in France is down by more than 1%, and in Germany, it's down by nearly 2%. These countries, pretty much the world really, all afraid of what might happen to them. We're looking ahead to March 12th as well, Errol, because that is when those Trump tariffs on steel and aluminum are set to go in effect. And, you know, this is part of Trump's America First agenda, right? But America First will mean that America hurts as he tries to increase what he says is U.S. domestic production by making those imports from around the world more expensive. Taking a look at the U.S. market close, if you've got money in U.S. stocks, you are no doubt feeling the pain. Markets fell hard right after Trump announced those tariffs. The Dow down by 1.5% there. The S&P 500 down by 1.8, let's call it, and the Nasdaq down by more than 2.5%. For the Dow, this is actually its worst day so far this year for 2025. And, you know, Trump's targets, China, and Canada for now have already struck back. For example, China is now striking back with up to 15% tariffs on $22 billion of U.S. imports. That starts on March 10th, so 6 days from now. There's also a 10% tariff on a lot of ag, a lot of U.S. ag, soybeans, beef, and fruits. But analysts who are seeing this, even though 22 billion is a big number, this is being seen as more of a measured response because the U.S. has actually tariffed more than $500 billion of Chinese exports with the United States. As for Canada, they're looking at tariffs of more than $100 billion on U.S. imports. The first stage already went into effect at midnight. Then 3 weeks from now, we're expecting 25% tariffs on another $20 billion worth of goods there. But in focus, for example, things like Florida orange juice, Kentucky bourbon. Ontario's Mayor Doug Ford also said that they could cut electricity. Yes, Canada does send electricity to the United States, powering about 6 million homes. And then as for Mexico, we're still waiting for some kind of announcement from Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there. But she said yesterday that they have a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D, so they're ready.
And so I'm guessing, Ramy, in the short term, how soon will people watching start to see what they purchase jump and increase, and how long could that last?
Sure. Well, it depends on what goods are in focus here, but it will take some time. It could take on the order of a few months to really have this percolate through from, let's say, the exporters in Canada or Mexico to the middlemen and then onwards to the consumer. It's a question on whether those companies might want to eat some of the cost or whether they want to, of course, pass that on to the consumer. But, you know, passing it on to the consumer, that gives rise to the question about inflation. Because, as we know, President Trump was elected in part to better the economy, to try to fight against inflation. Right. And looking at a most recent CBS News poll, on the left side of your screen, you can see that the economy, inflation, taxes, and government spending, those are the most important high priority items that people polled by CBS News find most important. But if you flip up the screen one more time, the second chart that we have finds that those same issues are actually things that CBS News polled find the least of a priority. For example, inflation coming in at 29%, the economy at 36%. So all of this begs the question of if and when Donald Trump will address this. And of course, if he carries on with these trade tariffs, this tit for tat that has now kicked off, that will percolate down to higher inflation. And as we know, he wasn't elected to raise inflation, but to take it down.
Yeah, very good point. Ramy Inocencio, live for us from London. Thank you, Ramy.